Hello everyone, this is Guab, and today we're going to be covering L.A. Ulm. So what is L.A. Ulm? It's a nation of dark and hostile magic, of regression and lost splendor, a nation lost in the Iron Cult, a people banned from magic and drowning in blood. Um, they're a really interesting nation that come throughout the ages. They have a lot of transformation. Unlike a lot of the other nations, there's not too much interaction with other cultures and stuff like that. It's just Ulm, EA Ulm, the barbarians, into MA Ulm, who finally found the secret of steel, and then into LA Ulm, where there was a lot of unrest, and basically purging of all the sacred smiths and stuff like that, though there are still some of them around. LA Ulm is actually inspired by the Illuminati, which is why they have a lot of sacred mages running around that are stealthy and spies. And I think that they're a really cool nation, and they're a little bit divided. And they have multiple paths, and so like using their sacred heavy calv and stuff is a lot better than it was in 5, and Bloodhound is a little bit worse. So there's a lot of different ways we can go. But I think that they're a really rewarding nation, and they have a lot of really cool communions and vampires and a lot of other nice stuff to do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. After years of civil war, the Iron Kingdom crumbled. During the night of treason, a great malediction was placed upon the kingdom. The forests became dark and hostile. Wolves and creatures even worse stalked the land. Slowly, the kingdom recovered. But it was not what it once was. The knightly order was all but destroyed, and the master smiths had disappeared. The secrets of black steel were forgotten. An order of black priests emerged in Ulm in the last days before the Civil War. They formed an iron cult, consolidated their position, and forbade the use of magic. Magic outside the religion was announced to be sacrilegious, and the few surviving master smiths were put to the flames. Although magery is forbidden, there are some fortune tellers and members of the Order of the Illuminated Ones who secretly ply their trade in the arcane. So, as you can see, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. There's some darkness, there's some other dark themes. We have, pretty sure we have Inquisitioners. We have Inquisitioners and the Black Priests. And, we have some other low-level mages going on. But, it's not too uncommon to have, low-level mages in the late age. But we also have vampires and ghouls and, wolves and other stuff like that going on. As you can see, we have astral. We have access to some medium infantry, some heavy infantry, and some sacred cav. We have good access to astral blood, earth, and then light access to air, death, fire, and glamour, which the glamour replaced the nature from Dom 5. And then we also have extra, one extra turmoil and one extra magic limit, which the magic limit is pretty nice for us. And then our forts also produce 25% more resources. So all this makes us a pretty interesting communion heavy nation with also some decent troops and a wide variety of paths. Now let's go ahead and hop into the troops. We have the villains, which I've never seen anyone use, and I'd be surprised if anyone ever used. This is the late age, and this is a very light infantry, undisciplined troop. The only advantage that they have is stealthy and then a little bit of map move. But if you were using this if you had this in the early age, you'd be sad, and this is the late age. So I've never once seen someone use a villain. Next up, we have our immediate infantry, which is the pikeneer. They're decent, 14 prot, pretty normal attack, defense, and strength. Still do 18 damage, because it's a two-handed weapon, but costs a lot of resources. We have our halberdiers, which are our halberds, which are slightly better, especially because they do more damage and are slashing. So if we're using two-handed weapons for anything, and we're not using our Zweihander, then halberdiers are good. Next up, we have our Infantry of Ulm, which takes even more resources, but it does come with a tower shield, which is nice. This is parry value of 7, so If we're running into crossbows or other units, then tower shields are phenomenal for that. So these are going to be used during expansion and versus crossbow powers sometimes. Well, it depends on what method of expansion you're using. But you will use these occasionally. You won't usually use your pikeneers or halberdiers, depending on what strategy you're going. Next up, we have the Rangers of Ulm, which are potentially the second best melee crossbow in the game. Which is like, it's kind of weird that I have to say that, but it is relevant for Ulm because they're stealthy. They can move around pretty easily in squads of 40. This leadership's up to 50, into squads of 50 now. And so, like, hey, you can run them around. You're not too scared if they get into melee because they have a 19 damage axe attack, so that's going to work against most units. And they're stealthy, so, like, these are actually quite good. The one issue with them is that they have really high recruitment point costs, and most of our other stuff have high resource costs. So, we'll have to invest order scales if we want to get Rangers of Ulm. And they're 12 gold, but overall, these are great troops. In Dominions 5, probably the best method of expansion was to use Rangers of Ulm and to use our Wolf Herders, which we'll get into. But I think that that's probably no longer the case in Dominion 6, with doing a little bit of testing. But anyway, these are still great crossbow, and it's really good to have access to. And it's great to have access to stealthy units, too. Next up, we have our infamous Zweihanders. They have, 21 protection, so that's phenomenal. They do a astounding 22 damage with their great sword. But they cost an astonishing 36 resources, which is... I mean, that's kind of gobsmacking. Like, that's what you would expect out of some nation's sacreds. And the 14 gold is not bad at all. Can't complain at all. Also, one thing I should mention, which I forgot to, is that all of Ulm's troops actually have 2 extra hit points, 1 extra strength, and 1 less magic resistance compared to normal humans. You could consider a barbarian heritage. And I think that that's pretty good. It makes their units a little bit tankier, a little bit more damaging. And the 1 magic resistance, we actually have a magic resistance spell in our nation, in our national spells, so it's not the end of the world. Unlike EA Ulm, where you really feel it. But Zweihanders, great unit. The one problem is that they're really high resources, so they're tough to make during expansion, and they are still weak to crossbows. Though the weak to crossbows is like, how weak are they really? Piercing damage, they're like, even into a crossbow they'll still have 8 armor, which so they'll still take chip damage, but it won't be that significant. But yeah, they are still weak to crossbows and other really damaging stuff. Next up, we have our very unique Ghoul Guardians. These are capital only undead units that have that do extra fatigue damage in an AoE to sacred units. So these are really good. If MA Ulm had access to these, that would actually be phenomenal. In the late age, there's not quite as many people running around making their sacreds. But if we're getting rushed or, we have to deal with anything else like that, these are phenomenal. A lot of the anti-undead spells have actually been nerfed. So, that makes these units even better. The problem is they're cap only, and they also take really high recruitment points, which, depending on what build we're going for, we don't necessarily want to take too much order. But, they have phenomenal 22 protection. They do 28 damage, and they can't be beat versus sacreds. So they're definitely something to keep in mind. And next up, we have our finally good Black Templars. Heavy cavalry, 23 protection. The horse has 22 protection, which is basically unprecedented in terms of Sacred Calv. We have the charge damage. We do 19 damage. Just really high prot all around. Our defense isn't that high, and our defense isn't that high because we have just such heavy armor. But we do have our shield. We do have everything else. These aren't going to fall to crossbow. They aren't going to fall to most infantry. They are phenomenal. And they're only 75 gold, which is like kind of astounding to say, only 75, but these guys are actually a steal at 75. One problem is 72 resources, 51 recruitment points. They're cap only, like most sacreds, but these actually are strong enough now that you can build your nation around them. And that is definitely one actually really fun avenue to pursue with Ulm. And next up we have our Ranger Captain, which is just our stealthy crossbow leader for our Rangers. Decent price for a stealthy commander. This is also kind of our scout. Nothing to exceptionally write home about, but it's nice to have a stealthy commander for our stealthy leadership. Next up is just our basic commander, 100 leadership. We're not going to thug him or anything. He's just leading troops around. We have our Black Acolytes, which can random Earth pass, and they are Inquisitioners if we need to preach out like LA Relays, Dominion or something like that. But you're not really going to be building Black Acolytes too often. They are recruit anywhere, but leadership 10. You could have them lead a squad of Black Templars, but you'd rather have your Hawkmeisters do that. So don't exactly know when you would use them, but hey, you have them if you ever need to. Then we have our Illuminated one, which is a spy and 105 gold Astral 1 mage. Not actually bad. Not as good as a research monkey as other nations have, but you can never complain about having, an Astral 1 research monkey because, hey, we can communion him up and do all sorts of other things. The fact that he's a spy is kind of unfortunate because we have other spies, and we don't want to necessarily pay for that tag. But, hey, we have it. Can't complain. Next up, we have our members of the second tier, which are probably going to be the main mages that we're going to be using in the game. They are recruit anywhere. They are foreign recruit, and they don't require temples. So, due to increased infrastructure cost and forts taking one extra turn to produce, it is actually really nice to get 1 or 2 labs out early in order to start recruiting the second tiers earlier. We can get some blood hunting earlier to get our count communion up earlier. So hey, these are really good. The fact that they're foreign recruit used to not be super important, but now it's good. You're going to be wanting to recruit as many of these as you can afford to when you don't just have money for research mages. I will say 10% randoms. These are great when you get them, and you're going to be recruiting enough of these that you will get them. Treasure the death ones and treasure the astral ones. Astral ones you can empower, do all sorts of you can do all sorts of horror shenanigans. Death ones you can do hordes of skeletons, other death spells. Fire, hey, we can do blood boil, astral fires, all sorts of other jazz. And just astral is higher astral, better for spamming out our astral spells. And so these are great mages. 210. It's a little expensive, but not bad at all. Black Priests, they are expensive at 225, but they're 9 research, which is not bad at all since they're sacred. They can random air, astral, earth, and fire, astral, and earth. There we go. I don't know why I couldn't say fire there. But yeah, they're quite good. They're quite good. We have national spells, Iron Blizzards, Iron Darts. These guys spamming Iron Blizzards is good. They have forge bonus. They can forge for us. Air Earth. We have stuff we can do with Air Fire. Earth Fire. We can do stuff with Double Earth. We can do stuff with and Astral. We can throw them into communions. So these guys are great. A lot of the times, though, we're just going to be wanting to use our member of the second tiers instead. And these guys are also foreign recruit, while the Black Priests are not. Let's not say that the Black Priests aren't great to have around. Iron Blizzard is very strong, especially into magic beings. If we're going a low resource strat, it's really nice to have these guys around to spam evocations. But the power of Astral and communions and stuff like that is really strong in our nations, and so we will be leaning into members of the second tier, unless we go a Mage Bless or something else for the Black Priests. Next up we have the Wolf Herd, which is a super unique commander, and I actually really like them. They're basically a nothing unit, but they can summon 2 wolves a turn. It doesn't say that here, but yeah, they summon 2 wolves a turn, and they only cost 1 commander point. And our fort that we start the game with has 3. So first couple turns, it's not even a bad idea to just recruit 9 wolf herds. We'll be getting 18 wolves a turn. Like 90 wolves is good for kind of like 4 blood hunters. You can use them for expansion. The best expansion strategy in Dominions 5 was to use wolves and rangers. It was a little bit finagly because you had to move around the wolves and stuff a lot, but that was really good. I don't think it's the best strategy anymore, but like units that give you infinite free spawn are very rare in the game, especially at like such a prodigious rate that you can recruit. So wolf herds are treasured, they're precious, and they're a very important part of Ulm's blood economy. Because we only have Blood 1 Site Searchers. And Blood 1 Site Searchers are even worse in Dominion 6 than they were in Dominions 5. But the fact that we have free patrol chaff kind of helps make it viable. So that's really nice. Ghoul Commanders, basically just for leading Ghoul Guardians. If we don't have a Bless, these are pretty good to thug out. Especially because we can increase their magic resistance a lot easier if they are thugs, which is what they're vulnerable to as undead. Phenomenal units. Outside of leading undead, because they have 100 undead leadership. You're not going to use them too much. And then we have the Hawkmeisters, which are great. They are combat casters, which is kind of pointless. Like I know people. If you're fighting undead, then being able to use like banishment spam, while you're fighting, may be good. But it's kind of unimpressive to be a priest 1 and a combat caster, but they're still great units. They're just like our Black Templars. I think they have a little bit more defense and maybe a little bit more prot. 13. Okay, never mind. Do they have okay, they have 1 more attack skill. I knew that there was a little bit of a difference, and maybe 1 more strength. If we have a good bless for our Black Templars, these can be highly efficient thugs. And sacred cav leaders are amazing to thug because they can call back their cavalry if they lose it. In Dominions 5 in Lucid's tournament, one year, actually this year, the late age Ulm player thugged with Hawkmeisters as his only unit. Like he tanked his scales and just did thug Hawkmeisters. He should have designed his bless a little bit differently, in my opinion. But I've done testing with it in Dominion 6. It is way better than it was in Dominions 5. These guys are a lot more tanky. You just want to make sure you take invulnerability to bump your prot up even more. But yeah, it was impressive what he was able to do. If you guys haven't seen it, just search Lucid Dominions 5 tournament and watch the current years. But it's well worth it. And it kind of helped really turn me on to like thug expansion and stuff like that, because that's what he did. But Hawkmeisters, great unit. You're not going to use them in most strategies with Ulm unless you're specifically taking a bless, but I love them. They're my precious horsey boys. And then we have Fortune Tellers, which are cap only, but they break us into a lot of paths that we don't have. We have Rare Death. We don't have Glamour anywhere else, and we do have Blood, but it's hard for us to get Death, hard for us to get Glamour. I think that these are only 10% randoms. Yeah, these are only 10% randoms. Yeah, okay. So, Fortune Tellers, we're going to probably be recruiting the most turns from our capital. Our capital is a little bit crowded with the Wolf Herds and the Hawkmeisters and the Ghoul Commanders. But, Wolf Herds are only early game. Once, early game is passed, we'll mostly be recruiting Fortune Tellers. Fortune Teller is nice, but just for the path variety and everything else. So now that I went over all the mages, I'll do a little bit brief section here on blood hunting. That's what I have in my notes. So, basically, in late age for Dominion 6, 2 blood 1 mages hunting, which are second tier, provide about 3.6 slaves, and they generate about 10 unrest. This is really unfortunate. Basically, they've become 20. I think it's 20% less effective because it went from 60% to. I mean, we can pull up the numbers, but it went from 60%, I think, to. Oh, it went from 50% to 40%. No. Do the math. 10%. Anyway, yeah, I think it went from 50% to 40% because it went from 10 plus 40% per level to I think 10 plus 30% per level. Anyway, if that is wrong, please fact check me. But anyway, basically we're going to be getting at Blood 1, we're going to be getting almost a little bit more than half as many slaves as we did previously. I guess it's like 65% as many, but like that's pretty rough. Once we get dowsing rods, it gets a lot better. We're only getting 10% left slaves. Still, it's really rough for us since we wanted so many blood slaves early. It is kind of so bad hunting with a blood one that hunting with a scout is now basically one blood one is worth the same as 5 scouts. That's a little bit off because of how unrest is generated, but so 10 scouts are going to generate 3.4 slaves, and 2 blood one mages are going to generate 3.6. So it's not that much different. And our blood one mages are really expensive because they're also astral mages, and they cost 210. At this point, before we get dowsing rods, Patala is actually a better blood hunting nation than we are. Because they have scouts that only cost 25 gold. So they can have 8 scouts, 7 scouts for the same price as our member of the second tier. And those 8 or 7 scouts are going to find more blood slaves than our blood ones. I'm sure they'll generate more unrest and everything else. And it's hard logistically. But the blood hunting nerfs are a little rough. That said, we still do get free patrol traff. 2 blood ones are gonna generate about 10 unrest. You want basically double the So here's some rough hands. Basically, a blood 1 is gonna generate 5 unrest. A blood 2 is gonna generate 10 unrest, and you basically want double the unrest that you're going to generate a turn in patrol strength. And a wolf is 0.7 patrol strength. So just a easy thing to do is be like, okay, so we're going to have, 6 of these guys on one province blood hunting. We're going to generate about 30 unrest. We'll want about 80 wolves, and that'll be our base setup. And so hey, if we want 80 wolves, we could recruit 10 of these. We get 20 wolves a turn. So it'll take us 4 turns to generate enough wolves for the patrol strength for, member of our second tier. So you can see we can set up a new blood hunting province, every 4 turns, as long as we have the way to generate member of the second tier. So you can see how we can get our blood economy up pretty quickly. And once we get construction 5, or once we start summoning our vampire counts, it gets a lot faster still. So we can accelerate pretty fast, but the nerfs really do hurt our bottom line for getting on board. And then a couple other things is that if you have done blood hunting in Dominions 5 but haven't done it in Dominion 6, the ideal population has increased from 5,000 to 7,500. So try to blood hunt in provinces that are from 7.5 to 10,000 to do minimum damage to your economy, but to find the most slaves. That is really what is optimal. Okay, yay! We finished our brief blood hunting aside. So just remember, basically want double the patrol strength that we have in unrest generation, and that's just the easy shorthand. Next up we'll go into kind of strategies. So the way I see Ulm is that there's kind of 3 different ways to play Ulm. You can play with a heavy bless and go around your Hawkmeisters and your Black Templars. And that's not bad at all. You can, be going Blood Surge, Enchanted Blood, Stygian Flesh, go an Awake Expander, pop out 7, with your resources and recruitment points, it'd be hard to get, 6 or 7 Black Templars a turn. And yeah, you'll have a really good time in expansion. You'll have good times in your first wars. They're a little bit low in magic resistance, because of the horse. But hey, we have spells and stuff that can work on that. We can back up our troops by great mages. We can even point buff, body ethereal and other spells. On like we could temper armors with our black priests, and we would have a great time just point buffing our black templars and like expanding with that. And then we can expand our blood economy in the mid game, and late game we would have built up a big enough economy that even though our bless is less effective in the late game, just because we're gonna have less sacreds around, it doesn't matter. And that's a great way to play Ulm. I think that's probably the second best way to play Ulm. But I mean, I'd probably say that the best way to play Ulm is to still go. And then another way to play Ulm that is not the best way. We'll go that one is to go heavy wolf herder and rangers. So crossbows, originally I thought they were going to be a little bit nerfed from Dominion 6. The truth is that they're ever so tiny bit buffed, because the armor piercing and pierce damage are no longer additive. They're now multiplicative. So it ranges, but it's about 5% more piercing damage, but it varies. But the problem is that expansion is so much tougher. There's so much more units that the indie provinces have. It's really hard to get critical numbers of crossbows. And sure, the Rangers of Ulm do great in melee because they're high, damage. But they have no prot. They don't have high defense. Like, you don't want them to get into melee if you can avoid it. And wolf herds didn't magically, like, they don't generate more wolves than they did in Dominions 5. And so, like, yes, they're great. You still want them, but they're just they're not as money efficient as they were in the past. So it's just really hard to get enough gold and stuff. Units up if you're doing these two. And then, if you're not doing Black Templar and Hawkmeister, how are you supposed to expand? And so what I propose is that you expand using 2 Infantry of Ulm and 1 Zweihander. Infantry of Ulm help keep things, if you're expanding into crossbow, at least your opponents have 2/3 chance of shooting these tower shielded units, and Zweihanders help make everything killing enough, even against heavy cav. And you're still going to be recruiting wolf herds, and you'll use wolves as sacrifices to the lance charges and everything else. But in my testing, using Infantry of Ulm and using Zweihanders together is the best expansion. Yes, you could use your Ghoul Guardians, but they're just so resource and recruitment points expensive. And yes, you could just use Zweihander, but they are weak to crossbows, and they are so resource intensive. So a mixture of these two work the best. If you want them to be in neat little squads of mixed, which I do, you can do 2 Infantry of Ulm and then 1 Zweihander, 2 Infantry of Ulm, 1 Zweihander, and when you move them around, they will actually stay in those groupings, in case you guys didn't know that. That's kind of, and if you're doing that for expansion, if you're not going Rangers of Ulm, you can actually throw Order, and that will also hamper your ability to go Ghoul Guardians, but, hey, that's a sacrifice you're going to take. So you can throw Order, boost resources, and then that gives you enough freedom to take a light bless for your black priests, or, have, go otherwise with your scales, I think your expansion strategy leads into what scales you want to do, and I mean, you can still do some Rangers of Ulm, and you can still do some Ghoul Guardians. If you're not taking Order, it's going to be harder for you to do. Basically the 3 different ways for expansion, and leading into your game is Hawkmeister, Black Templar, Wolf Herd, Ranger, and then Infantry into Zweihander. No matter how you do it, your first priority in the mid game is going to be getting enough blood slaves and getting a I didn't remember the paths for your summon blood count. Sanguine heritage. Yeah, so you need you're going to need a blood 3, death 3 for summoning your unique vampire counts. And you're going to need 44 blood slaves for doing that. And so that's basically your first priority mid-game. And then you're going to be blood hunting, getting up your economy, researching up thaumaturgy and everything else. And then you'll build into your late game where you're just dropping heavy thom spells. You're summoning all your troops and everything else. Man, okay. I'm realizing this. In the future, I really should do magic before I go over strategies. And the reason is because it's hard to talk about strategies without talking about magic. So anyway, let's go over the national spells of Ulm. You have some questionable spells. You have the phenomenal spells. Does this pull it up? Okay, I guess not. You have phenomenal spells like Iron Darts. Well, we'll pull it up over here. Actually, we could do LA Ulm. Just type it in, and then we can just do all of them at once. LA Ulm, national only, all schools. All right, cool. We have Iron Darts, which is Evo 3. We get a good number of effects. I think it is... it's like 13... it's not that many. I think it's like 6... 201. Yeah, it's you don't get 2,000 effects. I think it's like 6 effects or whatever. Anyway, it's like, it's decent. They do double damage versus magic beings. They are armor piercing 13. They're basically, if you're not using crossbows, you can use your earth priests, which we have our black priests as kind of iron darts casters as your crossbows because they are armor piercing and they do decent damage and they have good range too. Then we also have Iron Blizzard, which is a actually phenomenal spell. This has 30 darts per cast, and they do 10 damage, which is a little bit less, but it just floods the battlefield with so many darts. 30 darts per cast, and it's not even much fatigue. It's 50, but we're going to be doing this with Earth 2 mages. So that's going to be 25, and we get Reinvigoration turn. We could easily get off 7 a combat. Maybe 6 a combat. We'll be doing Summon Earth Power, so we'll be Earth 2 going on Earth 3, and then this is only going to be 12, so it'll be 13 fatigue. So yeah, we can easily get off 7 or 8 a combat, and 7 or 8 times 30, we are getting off, an astonishing number, 210, 240 iron darts, and per priest per combat, and that can just absolutely drown an enemy. Unfortunately, there's not too many other reasons for us to go up evocation early. We are Gifts of Heaven. We can occasionally do we can do astral fires and some other stuff. It's just thaumaturgy is just really nice. Tempering of the Will. It's a magic resistance. Yeah, it's a magic resistance spell that is through the earth. So we love that. We're going to be going to Thom 5 anyway for, Enslave Mind and, Soul Slay and all that jazz. But yeah, it's magic resistance. Yeah, it's magic resistance negates. So our troops have to pass a magic resistance check. If we're going up Thom, so we're already going to be getting anti-magic, and we have a lot of astral mages. Anti-magic is actually easier for us to cast than Tempering of the Will. But, if we're going into, heavy astral nations, casting Tempering of the Will and then anti-magic can really get us some high MR values. So, nothing to complain about. Gift of the Moon is a really questionable spell. It's an AoE 1 invulnerability 15 buff for wolves. It's a head scratcher why it was limited to be an AoE 1 and why it's enchantment 4. There's not a single thing that's good about this spell. That makes it worth casting. And to top it off, it's only wolves. Can only target wolves. Yeah. And to top that off, we have lost our nature magic. So like, if with the new animal buffs, it would have been, you could have gone with meme builds to do like Gift of the Moon and like Animal Fury and stuff like that. But no, we don't even have nature, so you can't even do meme stuff. Don't know when you'd cast Gift of the Moon, but honestly, it'd probably be a buff to the nation to remove it. So then the mages never accidentally random it. But hey, it's there. And then I'll skip Sanguine Heritage because I wanted to go over that last, and we'll do Sloth the Bears. They generate a lot of siege strength, but for 6 nature gems, so you can't complain. In my EA Ulm game, I have actually used them to great effect to generate kind of a holding wall for my Evo mages to sit behind and chunk down Muspelheim giants. So, can't say that there's no purpose for it. There's a lot more bears than there was in Dominions 5. But, the cost was reduced by 2. And we get 5 more bears. So, it is more than doubly efficient what it was in Dominions 5. But we don't have any built-in nature mages. We can get siege strength through our wolves. It's questionable when you would cast Sloth of Bears. But, hey, for other Ulms, it's actually pretty good now. And then last up, we have the nation-defining spell, the reason why everyone plays LA Ulm, and that is Sanguine Heritage. It's a Blood 0 spell, so we get it at the very start of the game. And through it, we can summon 9 unique. I think it's 9. 9 unique. Oh my. Summons. Okay. We'll just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I was wrong. It's 10. We can summon 10 unique vampire lords that all have different paths, different abilities, different healths, different values. Are all good for different things. Some of them are basically sight searchers. Some of them are all sorts of other stuff. Here's pulling this over for LA Ulm, and you can see what all their pictures look like and kind of what paths they have and what they're good for. Bloodgrass definitely good at thugging. So are Auric, and some are good at seduction and blood searcher. But basically, they are all immortal. They all have regeneration. They all have poison cold resistance. They're all stealthy. They're all invulnerable. And they all spawn thralls. So they are phenomenal. The only problem is that we don't have any Death 3, Blood 3 for Sanguine Heritage. But the spell is so good. Basically, every single pretender we take is going to have Death 3, Blood 3, because we don't want to have to wait until we have all the boosters to do it. And every single pretender we take is going to be dormant or awake because we want to get these online as quickly as possible. There are some people who play Scales Ulm and take an imprisoned pretender and totally ignore Sanguine Heritage. I think they are wrong. Just going to go ahead and say that. I don't like saying people are playing the nation wrong because, Dominions is a game about fun and exploration and discovery and all that jazz. But the reason to play Ulm is for the fun blood counts. So if you're not embracing that, I don't know what you're doing here. So, I will say I think you're playing the nation wrong. Well, whatever. You can do what you want. But yeah, so those are our national spells, and since we have really nice other paths, that was some other spells that we are going to want to consider is we do have a lot of incentive to go down evocation because of our earth, our built-in iron blizzards and stuff like that. And hey, we can get astral fires, which is magic resistance hard negates and is armor negating. This is a great spell, decent range. If we are going down, evocation, that's a nice one to keep up. To grab, we can also get gifts and stellar cascades, and even astral geyser, because we are actually going to be we can spam lesser horrors and we can spam horrors, and so astral geyser is a good thing to consider to horror mark people. But our main battle magic paths are actually going to be thaumaturgy and yeah, thaumaturgy and blood. With, you know, just a little bit of death, which we'll get like enchantment 5 eventually to do, and, you know. But another important spells for us are Call Horror, Send Lesser Horror, and Call Lesser Horror. So Call Lesser Horror is going to be really useful in our combats. We can set up traps doing this into player armies. If you pair it with Horror Mark or Astral Geyser, that's phenomenal, because then the horrors will not attack you and attack other people. It's really good versus other player elites, and we have our member of the Second Order, which can do it pretty easily when buffed up. You know, we can even empower guys so that we can do Send Lesser Horror. We will eventually want to get Construction 7, so we can turn multiple dudes into Send Lesser Horror spammers. Overall, just really good stuff. You know, we will also get some randoms where we can, like, blood boil and other stuff like that. And when we get those, we will do that. Because, you know, it's good. But, you know, they're not kind of a central key point of our nation. Let's see. We do start with the vampire counts. We are going to want to eventually get up to... eventually get up to Curse of Blood, you know, Blood 8 and everything else, to summon our vampire lords. But that's quite a bit later in the game. It's not an early priority. I think that Horde of Skeletons is great, especially in our communions. It will fatigue out your communions pretty quickly, but we have blood in our communions, so we can always cast Reinvigoration. These guys, you know, 1/4 of them are going to be randoming, you know, death, and it's not too bad to have like 2 hordes of skeletons casters. All of our mages are astral, even our like blood mages, so we can do astral communions for all of them. If we want our spells to come out quicker, we can do blood communions, and so, you know, like, that's always an option. But since our illuminated ones and our fortune tellers are astral only, it's a lot better just to do astral communions. One thing to consider, though, is you can kind of do a version of a turbo communion by doing pain transfer. And even if you're doing an astral communion, you can still do pain transfer. All wounds taken by a mage are going to be transferred to the blood slaves that are nearby. So if a unit is taking like if the unit has 200 fatigue and it's taking damage, instead that damage will be passed to a blood slave, a random blood slave around them, and it will only take 1 damage. The blood slave will. So if one unit has 25 blood slaves around them, that's 250 hits, because each blood slave has 10 HP. So you can actually set up a turbo communion by doing pain transfer and just having, you know, 1 communion master cast pain transfer, and only having like a couple dozen blood slaves sitting around. It's a little bit gated. Like, it's a little bit weird that you can do this, but it is intended. Pretty sure. And it's really easy to set up. You know, you have to be worried about losing the blood slaves to evocations or archers or whatever. But, like, really easy to set up and not bad at all. You can set up imbalanced communions doing this. You know, do like 4 members of the Second Order as masters and 2 illuminated ones as slaves. And just have like 25 communion slaves sitting around, and have one of the masters cast pain transfer. And it's only blood 3. So really good to know how to do, and then you can have everyone else be casting Thom spells like Master Enslave Mind, Soul Slay, and then our main battle path, which I got really distracted from, is actually Thom, and that is for, you know, early Mind Burn, Paralyze, Soul Slay, Enslave Mind, and like those are going to be our main priorities, and we're going to be running up there. You know, Astral also has, you know, anti-magic and stuff like that, which is going to be really helpful for kind of fixing our bad MR. So, yeah, overall for Ulm, I'd probably say, you know, if you have a Mage Bless, which you can run, then your black priest are your priority, and you're going to be running down evocation to fix that as soon as possible, But in general, I'd be running, like Thom 2 for, Mind Burn, and then I'd be running, I'd probably be running Conj. No, I'd only be running up Conj if I Conj 3 if I was using my Black Priest. No, I'd probably just go Thom 2, then Blood 3 for Pain Transfer. And then I would just go up Thom to like Thom 5 or Thom 6. And then you could, set up go Diversify, go up Alteration so you can buff your armies and everything else like that. I think that there's an important thing to say. Bone Fiends are not that good. No, I think that there's a... No. It's really unfortunate that we don't have the we don't have the Blood Earth Cross pass set up well for us. We are going to want to empower one of the Black Priests in Blood for forging blood items, just because it makes it cheaper. And having the, Blood Earth is nice for forging Earth boosters. But, we don't really need it too much of the time. But, hey, if he's not busy, you can, bind Demon Knights and stuff like that. Yeah. But that's kind of how those are kind of the spells that are important to us. If we're doing Black Priest, we're doing, like a Precision Farcaster, Revig Bless, maybe even Reanimators if you're spicy, but I don't think Reanimators is good because the Iron Darts are going to kill the skeletons as soon as they spawn. But if we're feeling spicy, then we'd go like Evo 3, Conj 3, and then just straight up Evo to 6. And that wouldn't even be bad at all. We would not complain at all. So those are the national spells. Those are kind of the magic stuff that we want to do. Now we'll go up over Pretender design. A lot of Ulm's stuff take a lot of resources. So we can actually do an Awake Expander if we want to, and this is one Awake Expander that was recommended by the Ulmites in Lucid's Dominions for LA Ulm. This is an Awake Serval Mastersmith, or however you say it, which also transforms into the Lenormor. Actually, we can see it. Yes, Starvolf Mastersmith. He expands great. He has the Tail Sweep. He has Dragon Glass. You can expand with this. 5 Revig for our Black Priests will be pretty useful for spamming summon Blizzard. Blizzards. All of these paths we actually have 3 in. All the path penalty is 2. So, yes, this is unfortunately low, but our Starvolf Mastersmith is going to be able to forge like a beast. And he has Blood 3 and Death 3, which is enough to do the Sanguine stuff. And he also has all the other cross paths that we can need. He'll breaks us into Air because he's Air 3. He helps breaks us into higher Death and higher Glamour and higher Blood. Couldn't complain about that at all. Another bless is, this was kind of me messing around, but if you're doing, a Lich as, and doing, your horses as an Awake Expander, this is enough to get out 6 horses a turn. Sticking Flesh, Enchanted Blood Surge keeps them alive really well. We can look at our horses. Having Invulnerability 10 on them is going to bring them up to about 28 protection, which is kind of unkillable. I mean, not actually. We'll still die, but they have a Kite Shield. They're not super vulnerable to crossbows. Even the Black Just Striders are not that weak. Blood Surge works, pretty well on them. They have long weapons. Helps with repelling, helps with doing more damage. And they have lances, so they're going to get Blood Surge pretty much guaranteed. And Enchanted Blood is just going to help keep them topped up because they have a lot of protection. So yeah, makes them really good. I didn't lose too many when I was expanding with that. So hey, that'd be great. And no important thing is that Horsies. Horsies, he can cast, our Sanguine Blood spell, so that's the important thing. And he also has Astral for teleporting around, and he's high Astral, high Death for some late game spells. Like this Pretender, I could take. I'd be very happy. We're going to be going up Thom 4 anyway. And so, like, this guy can teleport around. He can do everything that we need to do. He can join communions. He's not weak to Soul Slayer or anything else like that. And since he's not weak to since he's not weak to Magic Duel, he can still be Soul Slayed. He's decent magic resistance. But, he's going to stay around for a really long time. And he's only Immortality 1. So, pretty phenomenal. He can help get your research started. One thing you might consider doing is to take 1 less productivity and boost your magic by 1. But you'd have to do some testing on your end. It would mean you couldn't get 6. It would mean it would take you longer to get 6 Horsies out a turn. But yeah, I mean, wouldn't be the end of the world. Wouldn't be bad. Thuggerly is, if you wanted to do a Hawkmeister expansion, this is what I would recommend. As you can see, we absolutely trashed our troop scales, and we actually took Luck 2, Magic 2. Once again, we can summon our Sanguine dudes, but I mean, this guy can't teleport around. He's not. I mean, our Pretender is doing less for us here because he's not high Astral, but our Thugs are going to be pretty phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, this is definitely not optimal. Like with most Thug expansion, it's not optimal, but like, boy, it's fun. And depending on what nation you're going against, that have a really hard time with dealing with, 28 protection, fire shielded, partially regenning units. Like, what the heck are they even going to do into it? Until they get their magic online. But, magic is slower to come online. So your first war, you are going to have a lot of fun. After that, you'll have a lot less fun. And then this is a dormant guy, and this is probably what I would... If you didn't want to do anything with your Black Templars, this is probably what I would recommend to people doing something like this. You can do your Sanguine Heritage. He has a lot of magic diversity, breaks you into air, water, and high death. Gets you magic 3, precision reinvigoration. So if you want to, since we're taking Turmoil 2, we're not actually going to be able to get Rangers or our Ghoul Guardians, just because our recruitment points, there we are. Our recruitment points are going to be so low. So, we'll be getting Evo 3 for Iron Darts. It's not the end of the, these, our mages can spam out Iron Darts with that kind of stuff. And, hey, if we want other mages to be able to get more reinvigoration, it's not that bad to slam on a Shroud of the Battle Saint for 3 Vig and 4 precision. I'm happy to slam a Shroud on the Battle Saint, Shroud of the Battle Saint on my onto a mage, a random mage, for 4 precision, 3 Vig. I'd be happy to do that. Be pretty efficient. Yeah. So none of the Pretenders I took. Maybe we'll create a Pretender really quickly in case you do want to do the more traditional LA Ulm expansion with wolves and rangers. It starts out faster, so we'll just take the Frostfather. You can go. Oh right, you can only go order 1 now because we're a turmoil themed nation. We could go dormant. Man, that's tough. I don't even know what you'd do. Because, we would want order 2. But, we can't really get, blood 3... blood 3, death 3. Maybe we could. What if we did something like this? 2. We left that normal. 3 this 1. 3 this 2. Yeah, okay. No, you could do something like this and throw together a cheap bless. Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you want to do Ranger expansion, you could do something like this. And, he's Cloud Trapezing Sanguine Heritage. Like this is, this is a great thug. Oh. I've never actually seen the Undreaming tag. Like, I know you could grant it to units. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about running this. You can Cloud Trapeze. You can. Hit points isn't too high, but you can run. You're gonna be running Iron Skin, Temper Flesh, Regen, Enchant, Flying Shield. On him with better equipment and stuff like that. I could run this. Wouldn't be mad. Yeah, and you'll have to test out Rangers of your own and Wolf Herds expansion for yourself, but if you want to. But I really just don't think it's as viable as it was in Dominions 5. And I definitely think, unless you're going Heavy Bless, which you can, it's a fun way to play Ulm. But I definitely think the optimal way is to just do Infantry of Ulm, Zweihander expansion. And, once you switch into wars, unless you're against a Crossbow Nation, you're going to be going straight Zweihander. But if you're fighting Crossbow Nations, you go Infantry of Ulm, Zweihander. And these guys just chop 3 boys really, really easily. It's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. Let's see. I think I covered everything that I wanted to with Ulm. Yeah, let's go. Alright, so overall, LA Ulm is actually really quite unique nation. The fact that we can get vampire counts at the start of the game is really game changing, but also not OP. Yeah, not OP because we have other things to contend with. We have less good troops than some late age nations, but our Zweihanders are still pretty phenomenal. They get 21 protection is really good. Our Ghoul Guardians are also phenomenal. I just think that you want to be able to trash recruitment points, because you can recruit almost as good of troops without the recruitment points. So it kind of just saves you bless points. We're going to invest heavily in our members of the second tier. We're going to be building labs in the early game to foreign recruit them to kind of get our mage core up early on. Our illuminated ones are good, kind of just as research slaves, but that's kind of all that they're going to be as, and there'll also be some communion slaves. We can do some easy turbo communions with pain transfer, and that makes it a lot easier to be casting glamour and death spells off, if our communion slaves don't have those paths, then the fatigue is really high. But hey, if we're turboing, then that doesn't matter. And so being able to set up a turbo like that is really nice. Taking Misfortune is a lot easier because of our Fortune Teller. So that's why, in general, that's what we want to do. Misfortune 2 is not that bad. It can sometimes suck, especially when you get an event on your capital turn 2. But in general, it's not that bad. I think that they're a really interesting nation. They are unique. I think Ulm changes sufficiently throughout all the ages, and I think that kind of makes them really cool. And yet they were still retain their forging identity. It is really interesting that unlike most nations, their troops actually get worse in the late age. But hey, our mages get better, and so I don't think that we're in a worse position. If we're playing a one-age game, and all the Ulms are against each other, I still think that MA Ulm is probably just that little bit stronger. But LA Ulm scales super well. We can get our blood counts, we can get our blood economy going up through that. We can probably scale our blood economy the most out of any nation early in the game. So if you really want to get used to doing blood economy and blood hunting and everything else like that, LA Ulm is a really good way to do that. But I think they're thematic. I think they're fun. I played LA Ulm in the last Lucid tournament. And if I have the opportunity, I'd happily play them again. I like them. And they're definitely one of my favorite LA nations. Anyway, if you listen to the end, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe. I love reading all your comments, and let me know what videos you want me to do next. That one guy who requested a blood hunting guide, Or me to do a Blood Nation. I hope this suffices. If you'd prefer an actual guide, though, I can do that. It's just, since there's so much randomness, like patrolling can reduce, unrest by patrol value, anywhere from patrol value to 0. But then there's also a random chance that patrolling does not decrease unrest at all, and you roll an exploding D50 with a plus 25. It's a lot easier to just use rules of thumb. Just be like, hey, you want double your unrest generation and patrol strength, and blood 1 is going to generate 5 unrest, and blood 2 is going to generate 10. Blood 3, I think, is we'll just say blood 3 is also 10. I think it's like 12, 11. But just like rules of thumb make life easy, and I enjoy Dominions, and I also actually enjoy the nitty-gritty numbers. I do. I just don't want to do them in all my turns, because that is living hell. Shoot, I'd already started my epilogue. Oh well, and then I went off on a side tangent. Anyway, yeah, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Peace.